Sleep? No, no, we don't do that. All we do here is play Moonshadow decks and Slay the Spire too. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and here is Butcher's starting point for a Mono Black Aggro list. And it was expected that I'm going to make some changes to this one when it was sent along. The general idea is good, and I will be keeping the general idea. The general idea is accelerate out some early powerful threats that have big booties. By playing creatures like Nethergoyf and Barrowgoyf and Exsanguinator Cavalry, and that's a 3 toughness one, that can potentially survive a Toxic Deluge, you can get on the board early, wipe your opponent's creatures, and then go into a late game where you do crimes with the One Ring. And generally speaking, I really like this idea, but I am going to futz with the position of a lot of cards here and make some small changes. Number 1, on only 18 lands, I do not believe that Mox Diamond is the accelerant that you want. I think Lotus Petal and Dark Ritual is going to be better than Lotus Petal and Mox Diamond here. So that's the first change that I'm going to make. Number 2, I love the Toxic Deluges. We're absolutely going to keep either 3 or 4 of these in the deck. However, I think they belong in the sideboard, and I think you bring them in when you want them. The format right now is in a place where there's a ton of like show and tell and oops and storm, where this is pretty close to a dead card in those matchups. And so I 100% want access to this idea, but I think those belong in the sideboard, whereas the Moonshadows belong in the main deck. I love this card. This is one of my favorite cards from honestly the past like 2 or 3 years. Anytime I can play a Moonshadow deck, I am on top of it. And the last thing that I thought is that Exsanguinator Cavalry has just kind of been power crept out of Legacy. I want to replace this with Super Shredder, as that card was incredibly impressive in a recent league. So making those changes, this is where I'm going to end up. So we have Super Shredder and Moonshadow that will benefit greatly from the 0-cost artifacts going to the graveyard early on. We're going to take out the 2 Ancient Tombs and assume that Ritual Mana is fine for getting us to the One Ring. I think it's more important to hit the early double black pips so that I can consistently play Douthie Voidwalker in the sideboard, which can relatively consistently be a turn 1 play with both Dark Ritual and Lotus Petal in the deck. And to help out with the various Storm decks that are running around, we're gonna play everyone's favorite Human Noble. There's some other creature type there. What else are you? Assassin? You look like an assassin. I'm not gonna look you up. I think that last one's Assassin. You've got your Forger vibes. You're an assassin. One other thing that I'm gonna do is add Snuff Out into the deck. I think it's okay if I take out the Ancient Tomb to insert something else that plays with our life total a little bit, given that we do have some other lifelink within the deck. And I think this deck is going to be very, very capable of some crazy openers, and as the game drags on, like, we do have our inevitability. Plus, we got a full set of Toxic Deluge. Fuck those energy decks. Fuck those affinity tokens. We've got them covered. And if you don't own an entire playset of Toxic Deluge, please consider picking them up from my sponsor, TOAmagic.com. Super Shredder is also maybe a card that you might want to own. That one is a little expensive right now, but like as it's a TMNT card, it's like maybe not gonna get reprinted, at least not under that name. So if you order those, promo code ThrabenU, save yourself a little bit on the order. I expect we're going to see a lot more Super Shredder on the channel over the next year. With that being said, let's battle. Alrighty, opening hand does not have mana. We will mulligan this one. We're wrong in the other direction here. Am I on the play or draw? I am on the draw. I don't know if the single threat hand is good enough. Let's mulligan. This is quite good. Like, this is very, very powerful for a 5-card hand. Let's assume that we do something like this. Tundra and Ponder. Brave Tundra Gamer. Hello. Okay. Moonshadow, trigger Moonshadow twice, play Super Shredder. Or Super Shredder, Moonshadow. Yeah, I think I like this better. Although I think this one will end up being worse versus a counter spell. Yeah. Yeah, and let's just yield to Super Shredder, because Super Shredder is gonna get swole. This is gonna divide my counters more evenly. I'm not sure if it makes sense to divide the counters more evenly, though, because it's harder to get the counters on Moonshadow than it is Super Shredder. So maybe I just maximize Moonshadow. Okay. Goodbye, Shredder. Please don't have another removal spell. That's almost as bad. Okay. So there's something to do in a few turns. Note that we don't have a Surveil land in this deck. I think it's too important to have everything enter untapped in these black aggro decks. That's the philosophy of the, like, Mono Black Aggro deck that has Daze in it that's currently running around. It may or may not be true here, where you're also bridging to things like Nethergoyf and the One Ring. Since this is from anywhere, we're going to go ahead and do this now, in case it gets countered, and send in for 2. Opponent to 15. This is not going well. The double mulligan into Swords Tamiophilia, Quantum Riddler, is real bad for us. So now this gets to blink and keep the Quantum Riddler, but I can kill Felia. That's at least a tiny bit of good news. Is this now transforming Tamio? Yes, so I can kill Tamio with Menace? Honestly, this could have been way worse. In at Tamio with Menace. I get, like, there's 6 cards in hand over there and 2 clues. If I can resolve one of these later, I think we're still in this. Oh, hot damn, the Quantum Riddler is coming in at me, rather than being held back for the Nethergoyf. Surprising. Moonshadow not doing a very good job of growing right now. Alright, yep. Opponent takes 2. Notably, that creature went to exile, so it does not grow Moonshadow. Then, fuck, here again. Don't have anything like a Snuff Out to help with this right now. Elia's just going to reset the counters on my Moonshadow, which is perfectly fine and good. And then that trigger gets stifled. All right, 3 cards over there. This is a really big deal. I get 2 of them, but there's a decent chance that my opponent has a counterspell. The deck also has Consign Daze. Yep. We played a good game of Magic for a double mulligan. I am not unhappy with this. I'm just going to take 6 in combat. No Felia. Blink nonsense. Blue token. God, do you have like a Murktide too? I have a family. I have 2 loving cats. Ouch. I guess Daze exists. One ring. Well, alright. That was mighty rude. GG. So, Fatal Push doesn't kill Quantum Riddler. Edict does, Snuff Out does. So I do have answers to Riddler specifically. For the Tamio and the dog, I might want Fatal Push, and I can probably consider getting Bowmasters in here as well. I don't know how much sense it makes to attack my opponent's hand here. I think the stuff that is in play on board matters more. Now, I could do 1 Deluge as a big, like, this hurts, but it can answer a Riddler. I don't think I'm into that more than I am just, like, filling the deck with something like this. This is not a card that I'm going to want to board in for too many fair matchups, because I do have a decent number of non-creature spells that trigger this. The idea here is, like, this hurts you way more than it hurts me. Opening hand is too land heavy here. I'm going to ship this. I don't think I get to be too picky from here. All right. That's just how it goes. Oh my god. I am the aggro deck with a 0 threat opening hand. I think I'll keep 1 of each. This is a disaster. I think we are just losing this first game. Rather, this first match due to bad opening hands. I don't think I am supposed to full on keep 5 lands Moonshadow Barrowgoyf. I'm going to attempt to Fatal Push this. Okay, cool. Resolves. Totally happy to see that. I'll pass the turn here. It is another Tamiyo. I don't have anything to play for in my next turn. I think I'm just going to play around days here. Oh. Let's just push the Tamiyo. Great. Wasteland's fine. Opponent is chilling. I will make land drops. This is not favorable for me. I am an aggro deck. I should be pressuring my opponent's life total. I'm going to be very, very reliant on randomly drawing a 1 ring to finish out this game. Alright, there is a Quantum Riddler. I don't think I'm going to use my Edict on that unless my opponent stifles here. Oh, deck. There's 18 of these lands. That's rough. So I have a third of my lands in the top 9 cards of my deck. Okay, alright. That's cool. I don't... What do you want me to say, YouTube? What do I say here? You can't even be mad. It's so absurd. Oh, okay. Now I think you can officially be mad. Oh, I'm gonna kill that dog. Please sacrifice a non-token creature. No. Maybe opponent has no counter magic. Alright. The Super Shredder is here. And surely will not just be tagged by a Swords to Plowshares. Not immediately, at least. Alright, yeah. That's why we didn't crack these immediately. What is it like to be a professional content creator, you might ask? Great question. Thank you for asking. It's largely great. I swear. Alright, slow cantrip time. Now, target me. Moonshadow is fine. We will take that as a redraw. Get punched for 4. Opponent is discarding cards. Here is a Moonshadow and a Nethergoyf. Pass turn. Yep. Opponent's got 6 cards in hand. That's fine. I think it's possibly correct to wait to do that until after I've cracked some of these, so that I don't have that value for future Super Shredders and Moonshadows. But I also just don't think it matters. I think my opponent is so... Alright, deck, fuck you. Of the 18 lands, we have 10 of them in the top 17 cards. Stonks, as the children say. Alright. I'm not conceding out of spite. There we go. That's a real Magic the Gathering card. I don't think I'm going to exhaust my opponent's resources unless I draw the 1 ring. Like, I think it has to be the 1 ring. Tamiyo does the clue thing again, and can become a Planeswalker at this point. If my opponent transforms Tamiyo this turn, I think I will concede at the point where the Force of Will goes back to their hand. Alright. So I think realistically, this is my last turn of the game to have any real chance. Alright. Here we go. I'm ready for consign. Alright, it's Force of Will instead. Someone is going to run the numbers on that, and it's going to be absurd. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you're looking to store your decks online, you're not going to find a better website. It's super organized and easy to use, and I sort everything that I do into a ton of format-specific folders, and you can customize the way that you use Moxfield to your liking. Whether you like text views or visual views of multiple different natures, Moxfield has it all. And it's so easy to use, you might even say that it's a snap. Alright, my opening hand is not amazing, but I think I'm good with trying to make this work. I think I'll lead on Moonshadow rather than Thoughtseize. Underground Sea Gamer and Tamiyo. Cool, now I can Thoughtseize into Fatal Push. Yeah. This is what we're talking about. A nice mix of lands and spells from a deck that would never betray me. Opponent is pausing here. I see. That's a good fucking hand. Wow, that's good. I'm not touching the Force of Wills. I think I am taking the other Tamiyo and trying to make my opponent use 2 of these cards to protect this ThrabenU. See how they feel about that? That is Force, pitching Ponder, and looks like opponent is going to go for the ThrabenU special over there of ThrabenU protected by 2 Force of Wills. The way that I'm hoping this goes is that I play Barrowgoyf. Barrowgoyf gets countered by Force of Will pitching Murktide, and then I resolve the One Ring, and I do Crimes. And Crimes are fun. ThrabenU investigates. Okay, cool. That is my 4th land drop to guarantee the One Ring next turn. Moonshadow gets thicker. Barrowgoyf comes to party. It's Force of Will and Murktide. It's like opponent's probably just going to surveil before making their decision. Oh, it resolved. Unexpected. In with Moonshadow. Opponent to 13. Opponent is pondering. That's a shuffle. Yeah, just play literally anything that takes blue cards out of hand. Alright. Opponent not attacking with ThrabenU. I think I'm doing Snuff Out on ThrabenU to bait the Force of Will. Nice. Come on. Come on. Do it. Damn it. Alright. Now let's see what's going on with this Barrowgoyf. Yeah. Ooh, the double block. And due to Death Touch, I can kill both of these. Moonshadow grows. I think I just have to play it. Oh my god. It resolved? What are we doing? How much do you value that Murktide region? That's crazy. So this will kill me pretty quickly, but like I'm going to go wild here. So here's a new Moonshadow. Here is a Super Shredder. Here is a Lotus Petal, which I think I just sack immediately for 1 point of damage and to make it so that Super Shredder doesn't die to Bowmasters. Always yield to that. Punchies in for 5. Opponent to 8. Facing down a potential large amount of damage on my turn. Alright, I think my opponent certainly lost that one when they did not counter the One Ring. I do praise their patience in holding the Force of Will and trying to like make the Murktide Regent work, because I absolutely was trying to bait them, but I think they got locked into their plan in a negative way. Okay, I'm not interested in Thoughtseize here. I'm very interested in Douthie Voidwalker as something that helps Murktide Regent from happening, as well as like making Nethergoyfs worse. And I'd also like to get these 3 cards in here so that if my opponent has probably sideboard Bowmasters, I have outs to them. So how do I get these last 3 cards in there? It seems tough. My cards seem good. I probably trim some other threats. And Super Shredder leaves the battlefield, not goes to graveyard, which is an important distinction here. I could go down Nethergoyfs. 1, 2, and 3. That seems reasonable. I don't think I'm deluging here. I think on average my opponent's creatures are too big. Hell yeah. How do I even use that Dark Ritual? Like, I don't know. So many different ways to use that card here. I think I just send a Goyf on turn 1, and if it works, cool. And if it doesn't, I still have 2 turns worth of very reasonable plays afterwards. Alright, it's in play at the very least. Fatal Push exists, so, you know. Let's not get too excited here. There is a Brainstorm. This will start growing my opponent's Goyf. That's not a fetch land. Opponent is passing. Nice. I think I want to do pre-combat Douthie here. This way, if my opponent, like, does some block shenanigans, Nethergoyf dies and goes to exile. Uh-huh. Yes. Fatal Push? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Like, my Barrowgoyf got 2 cards, and I have a Douthie in play with 2 more Barrowgoyfs and 1 ring in hand. I'm totally good with the current situation. Ooh, that's almost certainly a mistake, right? Playing that Swamp prior to resolving the Ponder. Alright, little things. Opponent is passing there. I have a pretty decent advantage here. A new Douthie Voidwalker. I don't think I want to play Super Shredder until Super Shredder scales up immediately because Orcish Bowmasters exists. Let's just jam another Douthie now. That's a terrible play, right? Because now I get to just cast a different spell off of this. This is this turn, not immediately. So I will sacrifice this. I think I'll ponder. Ponder. Ooh, yes. The Douthies will continue until morale improves. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No shuffle. Alright, there is a Barrowgoyf from my opponent. I have a Fatal Push here. Here is a Dark Ritual. I think my stuff's just resolving based on that timing. So I'm just going to use this as an opportunity to resolve the One Ring. Draw that card. In for 3. We get a Fog for the Barrowgoyf. 16. There is a Brainstorm. Fatal Push is okay. That keeps me from using Fatal Push on this. I mean, that plays around Bowmaster timing, so that's reasonable. Now I get to do my next set of One Ring draws without having to think about opposing Bowmaster, which is honestly really nice. Opponent has forgotten about the One Ring protection. So that doesn't do anything. Lose 1. All right, cool. Bonus lands. Draw cards. Nice. There's a few ways to play this one. I think I don't want Fatal Push to be dazable. What are you drawing? Brainstorm. Got it. Let's do this. Not dazable. And I know my opponent is drawing a Brainstorm. I'm just going to do this now. Good stuff. The redraw is Snuff Out, which is totally fine. It won't answer a Goyf. Opponent is chilling. I'll draw a card. A Super Shredder. I think I'm interested in this. I think I just send these in. My opponent plays Bowmasters. I draw cards with the One Ring in response. Yeah. So bam. Cool. Now I have a Bowmasters for the Bowmasters. This is fine. We can trade tokens if you want. Yep. Fatal Push is very good there. There's a land drop, and I will pass turn. Cameo's great. I will absolutely snuff that out when my opponent casts the Brainstorm that they are about to cast. This does incidentally play around me Bowmastering their Brainstorm, so like there is something to that. Opponent now has 1 card left, meaning that my Bowmaster can't be Force of Willed. So this is great. I'll lose some to the One Ring. Let's just do this one around Daze. Kill Bowmaster. I think I'm going to play a Super Shredder and not draw more cards here. All right. I think this set should have been closer. Like, this was very, very dominating. But I think I got away with a little bit in terms of my opponent not sequencing their things as optimally as they could have versus a more competent pilot. I think this is a little bit dicier. So for example, at the tail end of that game, if my opponent just passes the turn and does not fire off that Brainstorm immediately, I can't really remove that Tameo. And a sort of intricate dance would then start there. I still have the ring and maybe I overpower my opponent, but I think there's some things like that my opponent could have done a little better. GG's. All right, I have a reasonable mix of lands and spells here. If my opponent is playing creatures, I'm going to be really, really happy with this hand. If my opponent is playing combo, we dead. But, you know, that's just kind of how it is when you're playing non-blue decks, right? You don't have Force of Will as that catch-all that just makes everything good. All right. I have removal spells for this. This is fine. Once this is in graveyard, this is already outside of Bowmaster ping range, so let's save the fetch lands for later. Attempt Snuff Out on Tameo. Round Daze. Throw a Nethergoyf. I don't super care if that one gets dazed. Like, we would like to snuff out dazes before the One Ring comes down later anyway. So this is perfect. That is a Surveil land. That's not bad as a draw, honestly. I'm going to play that out so that I can Sheoldred's Edict a creature around Daze again. My god, a Bowmaster is going to be really good against us, though. Sure feels like Bowmasters. I think I'm going to bait the Bowmasters this turn and Edict it, and then resolve the One Ring around an Edict. I think I want to do this with this timing. Basic Swamp. Ooh, not Bowmasters. Okay. I think you fire off the Bowmasters if you know that you're going to get bauble value. Ooh. Bait Force of Will with this. Just keep holding the One Ring. Pass. Aww. There is a Tamiyo. Wasteland is fine. So this is a great example of a spot where a held Brainstorm could end up saving Tamiyo. But I think this is my counterspell bait moment. Please sacrifice a non-token creature. Like so. Yeah, exactly what I was talking about at the end of the last game there. This is kind of the toxic Tamiyo play pattern where you can't actually easily remove Tamiyo. Alright, but if it's not Force of Will blue card now, I am in very, very good shape. So there is the One Ring. Nice. Bowmaster. Passed the test. Fetch. Drop a Goyf. Alright. A lot of things went right there, honestly. Tamiyo pluses to 4, which means that my Goyf is not killing it immediately. Another Wasteland. Not probably what my opponent is looking for. Kaito? Ooh, Kaito's very good. Kaito can stun this Goyf. I've used one of my 2 Sheoldred's Edicts already. Land is not what I'm looking for. Hope the One Ring spits up something good. Alright, one of these from Graveyard. Here is a land, an instant, a creature, and an artifact. These are going to be smaller in the short term. I can put artifact right back in there when I need it with Lotus Petal. Opponent has a fatal push that they can immediately pick up to answer 1 Goyf. Double block? I'll, I think, sacrifice this now, in case things get a little weird with things like Bowmaster pings. Alright, yeah. Very nice. Alright, it's another Kaito. Understood. The opponent can now stun 1, Tamiyo minus, fatal push the last Goyf. Yeah. Opponent is fighting the good fight out there, but I have the One Ring. Oh, Super Shredder is very good. Okay. This is perhaps not ideal. So there's Super Shredder. Instant land, artifact, dark ritual, Super Shredder, which is a legendary creature. Keep one of them. Legend rule the other. This lets me go creature, instant, artifact, land for these. And I don't think I am going to Thoughtseize immediately. Tamiyo pluses. Kaito going for the emblem here. And attempting to put some pressure on me. I can fetch. Super Shredder is a 4. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think I am fine with a double block here. There is a fatal push. It's okay. I'm just trying to exhaust my opponent's resources and let the One Ring do its thing. I'm just trying not to die before I find my next One Ring. Yeah. I think we just hope the last card isn't Bowmaster. It is not. Very good. I now have a ton of things. Yeah. There's Dark Ritual. There's a Goyf. What are you drawing? Force of Will. Got it. Attempt to kill Kaito. I get shrunk by 1. Then Edict Tamiyo. Please sacrifice a Planeswalker. 1 and 2. Now, I think I might leave the creature in the graveyard for these purposes. I could do artifact, instant, land easily. Yeah, let's just leave the card types in there. Bauble redraw is a new bauble. And there is the concession. Definitely spooky because Tamiyo is a stupid Magic the Gathering card and Kaito is strong. Like this is a very good set of cards. But we threaded the needle with the One Ring and we dodged Bowmasters, so that was great. Probably going to end up doing something similar to last time around. I think that meant Thoughtseize out, which I didn't even want to cast this game. And then did I end up trimming 3 of these because I was valuing Douthie? I think so. That seems reasonable. Although, honestly, Nethergoyf was really good this game. Like, recurring that and just its general size was valuable. I could maybe not go full Douthie and split Nether, or Douthie Nethergoyf a little differently. Yeah, let's do that. Keep one more 1-drop. Absolutely fine. There is going to be some question of how exactly I allocate the Dark Ritual, though. Ponder is fine. That's way better than just my opponent having the turn 1 Tameo. Cool. I think that means that I slow my roll on yeeting something into play a little bit and just resolve to play around days in the short term. That resolved very quickly. I'm still going to let my opponent like fatal push this or whatever. There's Tameo. You have a land? All right, there is a land. Okay, nice. So I will now fatal push Tameo. If my opponent brainstorms and transforms it, I can attack it with Nethergoyf. So that won't actually save the Tameo. It is a Surveil land, saying no to brainstorm. I'm now going to throw something else into play. I think it's the Goyf. I think I just save this until we're further in the game. Give my opponent 2 different things to fatal push. If they take out the Goyf, then this one grows. A brainstorm. Underground Sea, so no shuffle there. Brazen Borrower will buy some time. Absolutely. I will attempt this. See if we get a Force of Will. We don't. That was just a tempo play. Buy the time. Get in there, Nethergoyf. Opponent to 14. Another land drop. This is where stuff like Kaito starts coming down. There's Tameo. Opponent passing. Ooh, their own Goyf. Absolutely. Super Shredder and the One Ring are both quite good currently. I think I play Super Shredder. Now I can go to combat, send in my Goyf. If we trade Goyf for Goyf, Super Shredder gets fucking swole. And if they don't, I fill my graveyard and make everybody bigger. So opponent is going to sacrifice the Tameo to keep their Goyf around. Reasonable. Trigger Super Shredder. Pass turn. I might block with Nethergoyf here to not let my opponent fish for a Murktide Regent or Brazen Borrower or whatever. This also will just grow my Super Shredder. I'm fine with that. Wasteland is fine. Kaito. Stunning Barrowgoyf, which probably means that Super Shredder kills Kaito. I'm good with that. So, fetch, grow Super Shredder. Swamp, land drop, One Ring. What a last card to have. Alright. I will go ahead and kill Kaito. That grows Super Shredder. I don't have enough mana to bring back Nethergoyf. The Goyf is big and represents a lot of value here. There's going to be a Tameo. Oh, Murktide and Tameo is rough. Alrighty, 8/8. Yep. Need a removal spell here. Didn't find it. I will Nethergoyf. Land. No, I don't have enough types. I only have 4 card types, and that's counting the Nethergoyf. Alright, I'm chilling here. I can make this trade and then hopefully gain some life with Barrowgoyf. I think I am 1 removal spell away from losing this one, though. I played so carefully to resolve the One Ring, and then my opponent's singleton that was left in their hand just so happened to be consign. That's fine. That happens. I will fetch again. Just confirming 6/7, 6/7. Alright, I am at 5. So I need an answer to Murktide. Otherwise, I take 11, which is Xaxes. I need a live draw or live Barrowgoyf hit. Reasonable card. I don't need to do this pre-combat. In we go. I still gain the life there. That's fine. Oh wait, not fine actually. I gain 6, going to 10, and I take 11. Let's hope my opponent misses their Brazen Borrower. That's pretty straightforward, and I don't think they should. Now I can go creature, land, instant, artifact, do Nethergoyf. Alright, opponent did not miss their Brazen Borrower. That'll do. GG. Match tied. I think I am happy with my card ratios here. Believe? I think I'll believe in this hand. I get a redraw immediately. So land, fetch, swamp, petal, shredder, bobble. Do one of your cards, yield to this. There's a Nethergoyf. That is all fine. Take my redraw. There's the land that I want. So Super Shredder scales up on the opposing fetch lands as well. I actually sort of want to see a Fatal Push here so that I can just play another one on my turn. That is a Brainstorm around Bowmasters instead. That may mean that my next turn is a little awkward, but I have a lot of stuff for the future. In we go. Opponent to 16, and it looks like I'm holding up a Bowmaster, even though I'm not. Land drop. Alright, opponent does the check. I don't actually have anything here. I lose my Goyf. Opponent has Tamiyo. Hate that. Well, I mean, what am I going to do? Not shove the One Ring when given the opportunity to? This is Dazable, this is Force of Willable, but it just stuck. Hot damn. Found a land drop as well, with Menace in for 3. 11. I think my opponent is still favored in this game because I don't have an out to a Bowmaster right now. And that card is just so devastating. Kaito? There's Kaito. This is a leaves the battlefield, so that transformation does matter. Alright, there is a stun on my Super Shredder, which is not great given my exact hand. Hopefully I draw something relevant. Nope. Am I fine just legend ruling a Shredder, given that I have 2 in hand? I think I am. So I keep this one, which immediately scales, and I'll pass turn there. This Kaito does get to hit me, though, meaning that my opponent gets to surveil. I think I still am the aggro deck here. My opponent is at 10, facing down a Super Shredder. Brainstorm to Yard. Edict is good. This is why we didn't crack the fetch land. Now I can get that value off of the next Super Shredder. Moonshadow. I think I draw now. That way this doesn't ping creatures if the worst case scenario happens, which it did. So I'll take some damage here. Fully miss removal spells. Unfortunate. There's Moonshadow. There's Super Shredder. There's Lotus Petal. There's this. I imagine that I need to do this at least once. So let's do it once to get these outside of Bowmaster range, but then hold the other ones. That's a land drop. Kaito is stunning Super Shredder. Oh my god. Now this can stun Moonshadow. Yeah. I take 5 plus 3. That does it. What an absolute beating there. GG's. I don't think we beat the Bowmaster after the One Ring there. Alrighty. Opening hand is mid. I think I just have too much mana here. I'm going to mulligan this one. And this is a little light on mana. Alright. Put Super Shredder in play. Hope that it works out. This is probably similar in power level to the previous hand. This one is going to top deck a little worse than the previous one. Basic Swamp. Dark Ritual. Another Thoughtseize. Yeah, the previous hand just has nothing after losing the Barrowgoyf at this stage. Fatal Push 2. Cycling a Street Wraith. So probably a Death Shadow deck. Although sometimes the aggro decks are now just playing a singleton one of these in the same function that the baubles have. Here is a Moonshadow. My creatures aren't doing anything yet, but soon. Soon maybe we can start swinging this one. Super Shredder scales up with that fetch land, so that doesn't die to Bowmaster anymore. Moonshadow still will, though. It is a Douthie Voidwalker. Notable rules difference here. This is put into graveyard. This is leaves play. So excuse me. I will just take this. Douthie doesn't block my creatures. This is very close to powerful. So I will punch my opponent in the face. They are going to 10. They did deal 6 to themselves. So this is very, very close in terms of a race as of right now. I'm hitting for 3 that might scale up. My opponent's hitting for 7 that probably doesn't scale up. So if I resolve this One Ring and get that fog, ooh, that potentially should have been done pre-combat to see if my opponent can squeeze 1 more damage out of Nethergoyf. Did not happen, but probably should have been done. That is a bobble. Artifact already in graveyard here. Do this. Shredder triggers. Moonshadow doesn't. Is that? Ooh, that's a removal spell. That's real good. I'm gonna get hit. I hit for 4, and then oh, it is Bowmasters. Shit. Without doing the math, I assume that means that I am dead. 4, 7, 8, 9. Yep. Yeah, opponent just takes that to face, and then I die 1 mana short. Oh fuck! I could have taken that redraw. Forgot that was coming. Is it Fatal Push? It's not Fatal Push. GG. Do I want Fatal Push? Or sorry, do I want Toxic Deluge here? I 100% need these. And then I can board in some Douthies. The Douthies can block opposing Douthies. The Deluges are a little weird because my opponent also has some scaling threats. But it's just another thing that clears Bowmasters, which is valuable. I think I'm going to play like 1 Deluge. Actually, if my opponent is Mono Black, Snuff Out isn't good. I could like, I could cook here. All right. Yes. Is the Dark Ritual for Barrowgoyf. Oh, the very bad Barrowgoyf now. I think we are Super Shreddering. Dark Ritual, Super Shredder. I will play Nethergoyf, assuming that it is worth a few points of life somewhere this game. I can't answer the enchantment, so that just lives there forever. Let's yield to Super Shredder. Opponent has Barrowgoyf. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's Barrowgoyf. So the Super Shredder is still just very large. The second Super Shredder is not amazing. No other play from my opponent. Land drop. Combat. In. Super Shredder grows and presumably is about to eat it to a Fatal Push. Yep. Opponent can potentially play chicken with my fetch land there. And try to maybe get the tiniest bit of value, but I like just killing the creature. If we go to a game 3, I'm probably going to board my Nethergoyfs out, having seen Leyline from my opponent. Okay. So fetch land can happen immediately. Swamp in with Super Shredder. Opponent to 17. I will play my own relatively small Goyf. I know that my opponent has one coming. I have a Fatal Push for it. Opponent is passing. Deluge is not ideal. I'm going to send in with my creatures. It is Bowmasters. Hanging Goyf. Opponent is now going to double block. I think I need to push here. That grows Super Shredder. And then the token leaving grows Super Shredder again. My opponent potentially has this coming, which I will trade with my own Goyf, and then just hopefully keep punching my opponent in the face with Super Shredder. Okay, that artifact will grow Goyf. Bitter Triumph. Okay, they kill my Goyf. It grows Super Shredder. That did cost them a Moonshadow as well. Land drop. Punchies in with Super Shredder. Opponent to 9. They're cycling their Bobble, which now grows Super Shredder again. I think my Super Shredder is likely to live through a Toxic Deluge that kills Barrowgoyf. And Leyline is going to prevent Toxic Deluge from going to Graveyard as well to further grow Goyf. Yep. I just kill my opponent if I draw something that can make another permanent leave play, which I did. Shredder to 7. Menace Punch. Did not need to show the Toxic Deluge there. GG. And again, we now know about Leyline of the Void. So that'll be Nethergoyfs out. Douthie Voidwalkers in, I think. Alright, opening hand seems totally reasonable here. We have a mix of lands and spells. Dark Ritual. Douthie. Bobble. Okay, overall inefficient use of mana. This is fine. If I play my Moonshadow now, it can attack next turn. I don't really want to lose my Fatal Push to a removal spell. I'm going to give up some speed and just remove Douthie immediately. I'm also going to cycle this immediately before my opponent can Bowmaster me. In which case I should have done this first. No, because I want it in the graveyard. Opponent has a Street Wraith. This is fine. Opponent cycles. We do the bobble redraws. Another Goyf is great. At this point, I just want one more land, and then I kind of feel like I'm set. Street Wraith cycles. We'll dismiss that. New bobble. New Voidwalker. Sure. My Moonshadow is now worse. I'm going to play a Voidwalker and hopefully trade a Voidwalker for a Voidwalker in combat. I have a very, very strong endgame here. I just have to get to it. Bobble not cycled. Moonshadow. Okay, so that's why Bobble wasn't cycled. Opponent did that. I think you attack to see if I trade the Voidwalkers so that you can then grow your Moonshadow. Alright, opponent is keeping that. The Bobble redraw happens. Okay. I am going to attempt to trade Douthie for Douthie and see what my opponent thinks about that. They say no. I can Deluge as a 2-for-2 here. And trade my Deluge and my Douthie Voidwalker for my opponent's Moonshadow and Douthie Voidwalker. I don't know that I do that. I think I just play a Goyf. Or just play another Douthie and a Moonshadow. There's a weird tension between this Toxic Deluge and the other cards that I have. Alright. Let's play the other Voidwalker. And notably, in case this comes up, with Douthie Voidwalker, you choose an exiled card an opponent owns with a void counter on it. So I can't play my own things that end up with void counters. Alright, Nethergoyf goes to exile there. Moonshadow comes in. Tradesies? I'll tradesies. Alright, Menace. I won't tradesies. 2 creatures, but one of them has Shadow. Okay. Punchies. See how my opponent is feeling here. Alright, now they are willing to trade. Now I will throw down a Goyf. I think I'm continuing to play to the board, and the Toxic Deluge is an oh shit button for if things go wrong. Bitter Triumph. Yeah, that grows my Moonshadow. So it is now outside of range of Bowmaster Ping, which is nice. Opponent is on 0 cards. I have a Goyf and a Deluge. I feel pretty good about this. Yeah, that's fine. Drawing a Leyline on turn 1, you know, like in your opening hand, amazing. Drawing a Leyline at this stage, not so good. The One Ring is incredible. I just play a creature here. Like, this is just about ending the game. I don't need to farm for value right now and give my opponent a chance to, like, find a Bowmaster and get me. That is just a land. That is not gonna do it. And we win that match 2-1. What does that put my overall record at now? We are 2-2, so we're batting 50-50, and we've had some really good games with this. I'm happy with this brew. GG. On the draw? Maybe? Kinda sus. I guess I'll keep. Probably playing against Oops and we'll die turn 1, and then I can go and eat dinner. And then I can wonder whether or not on the March 23rd BNR update, Oops is even mentioned at all in the article. Ah, it's a fucking Windswept Heath. We're playing Magic, baby. Ignoble Hierarch. I want to see that. Opponent says they love the content. Well, you're in a video. I'm in danger. Yeah. I am going to get a redraw and a draw step to find something that answers creatures or natural order. Fatal Push answers creatures. That helps. Allen Gates is whatever. Creature will be back on my turn. This can probably be Badger Mole Cub. I am correct. A Super Shredder. Killing Badger Mole Cub denies 2 mana. Killing any of the others denies 2 mana as well. Killing Badger Mole Cub or any other creature now means that Barrowgoyf hits for 1 more damage. Let's kill the Badger Mole Cub. Instant also goes to the graveyard, so now this is hitting for 4. Yes. Miss. Land drop. And pray. The deck is a little... Ooh. How much does that shrink my creature by? Sizable amount. But that's an ETB tapped land. That buys us a turn. Another turn for Thoughtseize or whatever. Yeah, this is fine. The life total thing is not super relevant here. I'm just going to send in with the Barrowgoyf immediately, because I could find Bowmasters off of this trigger. What a punish for not playing Super Shredder main 1. Ooh, opponent did not ping Barrowgoyf. Oh, it might just be correct for them to chump block and keep the extra body. I didn't do math for like Crater Hoof Behemoth. Super Shredder starts scaling up. Swamp and Goyf. But now 1, 2, 3, 4 for natural order is live. Okay, that's still natural order. That's still 1, 2, 3, 4. So that Badger Mole Cub off the top was essentially free. My opponent can sack their Bojuka Bog and nuke something else from graveyard. Nope, they sacked the Hierarch. Or no, these aren't green, excuse me. It is Atraxa. White of the Reliquary, Gaia's Cradle, Thoughtseize. Not the best Atraxa, honestly. My Barrowgoyf doesn't die to Cub and Bowmasters. I can attack with Barrowgoyf. I can maybe attack with Super Shredder once it grows a bit. In with this Goyf. Yep, I would be blocking that as well. Super Shredder grows. Land drop. Pass turn. The Vigilance lifelink stuff here is really strong. Hierarch. It's possible, knowing that my opponent has Thoughtseize, that I play Super Shredder on my turn to just grow Super Shredder by 1 rather than let my opponent Thoughtseize it. But this does cost them 2 life. Maybe life is not a thing that matters. Alright. Exalted for 1 here. I am at 17. Opponent back to 21. Moonshadow is reasonable. In with Barrowgoyf. That's perfectly fine. So Super Shredder does its thing. Talon Gates now comes back. My opponent can phase out one of my creatures. Phase out Super Shredder. I'll fetch now because I'm probably going to do that anyway. Make sure that I grow both of my things. Get a Swamp. Super Shredder in timeout. So Bojuka Bog can now happen at will. The white gets to come on in. To buy time, I might just need to chump block it with another Nethergoyf that is otherwise not doing a lot. This might mean that that ends up eating it to a bog at some point. And we are technically playing Magic the Gathering, but I think my opponent has won already, and it is a matter of time. If I hold back, my opponent just attacks in the air, so I think I do try to gain my 3 points of life here. Yeah, I thought that was going to happen. Now my opponent can sack it. Oh, that's not what's happening. Yeah. So I get bogged. Don't gain life. Is there a second Talon Gates that now phases out my Super Shredder so that I can't block with Super Shredder? Moonshadow can still chump white, though. Lair of the Hydra. Do you trample? No, you do not trample. A new Badger Mole Cub on the lair. Lair activates. White has Vigilance, so after an attack, my opponent could still activate this and phase out one of my things if they have the second Talon Gates. Okay. Did not happen. Maybe block their attempt to kill this. Block here as a chump. See what my opponent has to say about that. Okay. Everything resolved. The Super Shredder grows further. A Snuff Out. I can hit my opponent for so much damage with Super Shredder. Instant is not in graveyard yet. Alright. Have to do this like that. Go to Punchies. Need to do this and then also hit a 1-drop maybe? Miss. So now I die in the air with Vigilance, despite Super Shredder being massive. We fought the good fight there. Hello, pile of toxic deluges. How are you today? I hope you're well. Minus natural order. I don't care to Thoughtseize most of the stuff my opponent has. I'm fine with dealing with it once it's in play. And then I probably trim a couple creatures since I'm bringing in Bowmasters. It's Moonshadow or Nethergoyf. I think I will go Nethergoyf since it does not have evasion. Evasion appears incredibly important here. Yes. Land. Moonshadow. I'm going to just put this in play because I think it is an important card. And pass turn. Sylvan Safekeeper is fine. I will hopefully just kind of eat that with a Toxic Deluge in a minute. I'm willing to blow the Lotus Petal here. I want to scale these so that they live through a Toxic Deluge while my opponent's stuff doesn't live through a Toxic Deluge. That is my conceptual plan here. hit opponent in the face for 3, and next turn I can Deluge for 2, and Super Shredder will be at least a 3, if not more. Bayou. Opponent passes. Sure makes it harder for me to do, like, sick Toxic Deluge plays here. Fetch. Scale up cards. Punchies. I don't want Bowmaster Ping to kill Super Shredder. I think I'm doing this, despite the fact that that gives up so much damage. It is Abrupt Decay instead. Alright, got it. Super Shredder grows. I miss a couple points of damage. I'm hoping that Toxic Deluge means that I just win this one. I am hoping to get at least 3 cards out of Toxic Deluge. That's a 2/2. That's fine. That might be a threatening enough card that I do just Deluge here. Go to combat, hit for 5, opponent to 12. Deluge for 2 is fine. Super Shredder grows by 2. Notably, if I attacked with both of my creatures on a previous turn, I potentially have my opponent at a lower life total, but Super Shredder probably dies instead of Moonshadow, so, you know. This is annoying, because this could mean Bowmasters. Whatever. There's a Swamp. In for 8. Opponent goes to 4. Here is the One Ring. That's not the proper time to do that, because now I can draw and not get Bowmaster pinged. We will take that. Dark Ritual. Doesn't do anything here. Alright, pass turn. I can just eat Natural Order here, though. That's big mana. Alright, that is the Natural Order. Opponent missed a mana off of Dryad Arbor there. There's Atraxa. Bunch of cards hit the revealed zone, including Hogak. So Hogak is the creature. Springheart and Nantucko is the enchantment. Where's that one? There it is. Oh, there's Hogak. And opponent passes. 13. So I could attack and kill one of these. I think I need to just draw cards. I'm hoping there is not another Bowmaster. The Deluge. This Deluge is, spicy. Okay. Dark Ritual. Toxic Deluge for 8. Oh gosh, it hurts. It hurts. Super Shredder lives, sending 4 more things to graveyard. And the Menace means that Lair of the Hydra can't block there. Woo! GG. Super Shredder, though. Super Shredder, though. Alright, do I want some number of Thoughtseizes when I am on the draw to just make it to the point where I can do Deluge on the One Ring? I don't think Nethergoyf is super good here. I'm willing to make this change. Opponent says, guess I should have pinged your Shredder. Without thinking back, I'm not sure what exact moment that is talking about. This is a reasonably aggressive hand that does not have removal. Like, I can hit my opponent very, very hard here. I don't know that that's what the game is about. Like, this would be a hand that I would be super happy to keep if I'm on the play. I don't know that this is fast enough on the draw without interacting with my opponent. I'm going to mulligan this despite how good this hand is. On 6, sure. I at least don't get natural ordered. I get to check for that and then play a Barrowgoyf on turn 2. The land drop is not what I am looking for there. Which one of these am I taking? I think Fiend Artisan. Oof and Bowmaster are both good versus the One Ring. So the One Ring is already not ideal. Fiend Artisan is the tutor toolbox that can perhaps go over the top of what I am capable of doing. Bayou? Ooh, opponent top decked some other card. Probably a Green Sun. It is Green Sun. Getting a White of the Reliquary, which is super reasonable. Land drop. Petal. Bobble. Goyf. I'm just going to do this and accept that Bowmaster can get an extra ping. I need the card. Bowmaster. Yeah. Going at the Goyf. It's not like you can bog and get me, right? Does it work if the token is sacrificed rather than a creature, though? Sack the token, or a land now, and then bog, and there's only 2 in there. All right. I simply need this body. I simply need the body. Yeah. And is awful. I'm going to get tempoed out here, for sure. I'm going to put this into play so that if weird Bojuka Bog lines come up, I can do something about it. I don't think I can win from this position, though. So I think what can happen is that my opponent can sacrifice Wasteland and phase Goyf out, attack for a bunch, and then repeat the same thing the next turn. All right, yep. Yes. So I think I am largely going to be on find a Toxic Deluge, clear the board, or I'm dead. And to that end, I think I will just do this. I'll get hit for a bunch, although my opponent doesn't endanger the Bowmasters. I am at 7. I will take my redraw and go to 6. Opponent pings the Goyf. Sure. Edict not doing it. I'm going to send this in and see what happens. Just try to gain some life and probably fail. What a beating. I will lose my graveyard. Creature is now small. Tradesies. Land drop. Fetch. Bog. And this game is, entirely down to, can I Toxic Deluge everything away and then thread the line with the One Ring? I think if my opponent grows White of the Reliquary... Oh no, I'm going to die to Lair of the Hydra, even if I board wipe. Shit. Yeah. Okay, I can see the writing on the wall here, and I also think my dinner is ready, so I'm going to go ahead and call it there. GG's, we put up a couple wins today and have a bunch of very, very close games that don't quite pay off. Let's quickly wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Honestly, really solid. I liked this a lot. I liked having access to the pile of Toxic Deluges. I liked having the pivot creatures. You can maybe do some finessing of numbers here a little bit. Like, is 18 enough mana sources? Do you need, like, 19 or something? But I really liked this one. This felt great. Like, I give this one 2 thumbs up. I enjoyed playing this a ton. Maybe you can fit one more lifelinker in there. I don't know that Exsanguinator Cavalry is good enough in Legacy anymore, but I definitely appreciated the evasion that the Menace creatures brought to the table, so maybe it's fine. With that, I'm going to go have some dinner and then play some Pathfinder, folks. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any thoughts about the deck list, throw them down in the comments below. Have a great rest of the day. See ya!